Hi, I'm Zach Anner, and the Cerebral Palsy Foundation asked me to help them promote the show Speechless by giving a list of my top 10 things I wish people knew about CP. I don't really know if I can come up with a list of 10 things, but I'm gonna try. Okay, number 1. Just because I'm in a wheelchair doesn't mean that you can pet me like a dog. I'm not a dog, and I know it seems nice and I'm at dog height, but that doesn't make me a dog. And just because I like to pee outside sometimes, that doesn't make me a dog. And just because I won the Westminster Dog Show last year doesn't mean, oh my God. Am I a dog? Number 2, I think it's pronounced cerebral palsy. I don't know if cerebral is a word. Number 3, it is hard for people with cerebral palsy to make lists with their fingers, so I'm gonna stop doing it. Number 4, if you ask me what's wrong with my legs, the real answer to that is nothing. I have brain damage, so that's a little bit more exciting. Cerebral palsy isn't like, oh, that means your legs don't work. Some people with cerebral palsy are walking around just fine. Number 5, just because I have cerebral palsy doesn't mean I'm inherently inspiring. I'm inspiring because I'm an author, a YouTuber, and I have the biceps of a Greek god. Number 6, even though I have cerebral palsy, I still consider myself incredibly lucky. I have a great career, I have wonderful friends, and somehow I've managed to make a living while not getting up before noon most days. Number 7, just because your grandson has cerebral palsy doesn't mean I know him, Ethel. I mean, we don't even live in the same state. Number 8, yes, I'm gonna need some help with some stuff sometimes, but just talk to me like I'm a normal 31-year-old guy who's spilled a carton of chocolate milk on himself. Number 9, you are welcome to pray for me if you want, but I feel like having cerebral palsy is part of the reason I'm supposed to be here, and one of the tools that I can use to help people be a little bit more compassionate and open to people with differences. So it's just, I'm working with what I got there. And number 10, and most importantly, almost everything I've said is subjective, and you should just talk to more people with CP and see what they feel about it. Because I'm not a spokesman for all people with CP. People with CP are as diverse as all of humanity. So just go out there, have a conversation, and do what you can to educate yourself. So that's about as good a list as I can come up with on the fly, and I hope you learned something today. Or nothing, I don't really care. But remember to subscribe to the Cerebral Palsy Foundation and check out ABC's Speechless, premiering September 21st. I think it's at 8:30, but I don't know for sure. And if you want to check out the pilot, it's in the description there. All right, see you next time. Happy learning. Bye.
We are all different, and that's wonderful. Some differences are easy to see. Height, hairstyle, gender, eye color, and so on. Other differences can't be seen. Our favorite foods, fears, or special skills. Interestingly, the way we see the world is also different. For instance, what do you see in this drawing? Most people see a duck, but some of you might have seen a rabbit. Whichever you saw, you are correct. This is just a trick drawing to show you that all brains work differently. The brain is your body's computer. It works differently for all of us and controls how you learn. That's why we are all good at different things. How you feel, which is why we all feel different emotions. And how you communicate. Sometimes the brain is connected in such a way it affects the senses and how we perceive and read situations and interactions. This is known as autism. Many people have autism, so it's likely you already know someone who is autistic. And for this reason, it's useful to know a little bit about autism. The special wiring inside an autistic brain can sometimes make the person good at tasks we may find difficult, such as mathematics, drawing, or music. It can also do the opposite, and activities we find too easy are incredibly difficult to them, such as making friends. The senses constantly send information to your brain about your surroundings and other people. However, when a person's brain and its senses don't communicate well, the brain can become overwhelmed and confused, affecting how they see the world. Picture yourself walking down the street. This is how an autistic brain may experience the same world. Scary, isn't it? Sadly, in many cases, the person can't say out loud how they feel. So even though there's chaos going on in their heads, they seem okay on the outside, unable to ask for help. We all develop behaviors to help us feel calm in uncomfortable situations. We may look away, hug ourselves, chew our fingernails, fidget, bite our lips, and so on. Equally, autistic people develop behaviors that help them cope with these intense moments. These actions may seem unusual, but they're just their way to feel calm. When they happen, it means they are having a hard time. The kind thing to do is not to give them an even harder time by getting cross, ignoring them, or mocking them. People with autism need friends who are willing to take the time to know them. With good communication and plenty of patience, everyone would be better off. People with autism are not ill or broken. They simply have a unique view of the world. And with a little support from their friends, they might just be able to share that view with us. Autism can make amazing things happen.
With Down syndrome has special needs. Special needs? Really? It would be special if people with Down syndrome needed to eat dinosaur eggs. That would be special.
One dinosaur egg. Enjoy.
Man, I think you were totally right about Lindsay.
If we need to wear a giant suit of armor, that would be special.
I got a condo in Manhattan. Baby girl, what's happening? So gonna get to clapping. Go pop a phone.
It would be special if we needed to be massaged by a cat. If we needed to be woken up by a celebrity.
Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey.
Where are you?
You may know me from Scrubs or Office Space. A few darker flicks, The Rock, Platoon, Wall Street. Funny story, I played Ben.
Out.
My bad.
That would be special. But what we really need is education, jobs, and opportunities, friends, and some love. Just like everybody else. Are these needs special?
I grew up in a very small country town in Victoria. I had a very normal, low-key kind of upbringing. I went to school, I hung out with my friends, I fought with my younger sisters. It was all very normal. And when I was 15, a member of my local community approached my parents and wanted to nominate me for a Community Achievement Award. And my parents said, that's really nice, but there's kind of one glaring problem with that. She hasn't actually achieved anything. Yeah. And they were right, you know, I went to school, I got good marks, I had a very low-key after-school job in my mum's hairdressing salon, and I spent a lot of time watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Dawson's Creek. Yeah, I know, what a contradiction. But they were right, you know, I wasn't doing anything that was out of the ordinary at all. I wasn't doing anything that could be considered an achievement if you took disability out of the equation. Years later, I was on my second teaching round in a Melbourne high school, and I was about 20 minutes into a Year 11 legal studies class when this boy put up his hand and said, "Hey miss, when are you going to start doing your speech?" And I said, "What speech?" You know, I'd been talking to them about defamation law for a good 20 minutes. And he said, you know, like your motivational speaking. You know, when people in wheelchairs come to school, they usually say, like, inspirational stuff. Yeah. It's usually in the big hall. And that's when it dawned on me. This kid had only ever experienced disabled people as objects of inspiration. We are not, you know, to this kid, and it's not his fault. I mean, that's true for many of us. You know, for lots of us, disabled people are not our teachers or our doctors or our manicurists. We're not real people. We are there to inspire. And in fact, you know, I'm sitting on this stage looking like I do in this wheelchair, and you are probably kind of expecting me to inspire you, right? Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint you dramatically. I'm not here to inspire you. I'm here to tell you that we have been lied to about disability. Yeah, we've been sold the lie that disability is a bad thing. Capital B, capital T. It's a bad thing. And to live with disability makes you exceptional. It's not a bad thing. And it doesn't make you exceptional. And in the past few years, we've been able to propagate this lie even further via social media. You know, you may have seen images like this one. The only disability in life is a bad attitude. Or this one. Your excuse is invalid, indeed. Or this one. Before you quit, try. Yeah. These are just a couple of examples, but there are a lot of these images out there. You know, you might have seen the one, the little girl with no hands, drawing a picture with a pencil held in her mouth. You might have seen a child running on carbon fibre prosthetic legs. And these images, you know, there are lots of them out there. They are what we call inspiration porn. And I use the term porn deliberately because they objectify one group of people for the benefit of another group of people. So in this case, we're objectifying disabled people for the benefit of non-disabled people. The purpose of these images is to inspire you, to motivate you, so that we can look at them and think, well, however bad my life is, it could be worse. I could be that person. But what if you are that person? I've lost count of the number of times that I've been approached by strangers wanting to tell me that they think I'm brave or inspirational. And this was long before my work had any kind of public profile. They were just kind of congratulating me for managing to get up in the morning and remember my own name. And it is objectifying. These images objectify disabled people for the benefit of non-disabled people. You know, they are there so that you can look at them and think that things aren't so bad for you, to put your worries into perspective. And life as a disabled person is actually somewhat difficult. We do overcome some things. But the things that we're overcoming are not the things that you think they are. They are not things to do with our bodies. I use the term disabled people quite deliberately because I subscribe to what's called the social model of disability, which tells us that we are more disabled by our bodies, the society that we live in rather, than by our bodies and our diagnoses. So I've lived in this body a long time. I'm quite fond of it. It does the things that I need it to do, and I've learnt to use it to the best of its capacity, just as you have. And that's the thing about those kids in those pictures as well. They're not doing anything out of the ordinary. They are just using their bodies to the best of their capacity. So is it really fair to objectify them in the way that we do, to share those images? People, when they say, you know, you're an inspiration, they mean it as a compliment. They mean it as a compliment. And I know why it happens. It's because of the lie. It's because we've been sold this lie that disability makes you exceptional. And it honestly doesn't. And I know what you're thinking. You know, I'm up here bagging out inspiration, and you're thinking, geez, Stella, aren't you inspired sometimes by some things? And the thing is, I am. I learn from other disabled people all the time. I'm learning not that I am luckier than them, though. I am learning that it's a genius idea to use a pair of barbecue tongs to pick up things that you drop. I'm learning that nifty trick where you can charge your mobile phone battery from your chair battery. Genius. We are learning from each other strength and endurance, not against our bodies and our diagnoses, but against a world that exceptionalizes and objectifies us. I really think that this lie that we've been sold about disability is the greatest injustice. It makes life hard for us. And that quote, the only disability in life is a bad attitude, the reason that that's bullshit is because it's just not true. Because of the social model of disability, you know, no amount of smiling at a flight of stairs has ever made it turn into a rap. Never. You know, smiling at a television screen isn't going to make closed captions appear for people who are deaf. You know, no amount of standing in the middle of a bookshop and radiating a positive attitude is going to turn all those books into Braille. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I really want to live in a world where disability is not the exception but the norm. I want to live in a world where a 15-year-old girl sitting in her bedroom watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer isn't referred to as achieving anything because she's doing it sitting down. I want to live in a world where we don't have such low expectations of disabled people that we are congratulated for getting out of bed and remembering our own names in the morning. I want to live in a world where we value genuine achievement for disabled people. And I want to live in a world where a kid in year 11 in a Melbourne high school is not one bit surprised that his new teacher is a wheelchair user. Disability doesn't make you exceptional, but questioning what you think you know about it does. Thank you.
Over the last 2 years, I've traveled the world and met nearly 1,000 people diagnosed with different conditions. This experience has taught me there is one universal rule that will allow you to form a meaningful connection with anybody, enabling that person to reach their full potential. Now, before I tell you what this rule is, I must first demonstrate it for you so you can see its effectiveness. I recently met a young man named Henry. Circle. Henry is on the autism spectrum, and during the interview, he was yelling out shapes. I decided to have a seat with him. Is it okay if I sit with Henry real quick and you go stand out there? Yeah. I have an idea.
Ball, rectangle, bus.
Hey Henry, will you sit right here with me? Square.
Present.
I recognized Henry's naming of shapes as an attempt to communicate, a desire to connect. So I sat with Henry and we formed a bond in a way which he felt comfortable. Rectangle.
Bus.
Circle.
Clock.
Triangle.
Pizza.
You're good. Every person in this world has a different level of communication. It doesn't matter if it's Henry, me, your great Aunt Marge, everyone has a little bit of a different frequency. But if we can adjust to these frequencies, you can form a meaningful connection with anybody.
Square looks like a present.
Let's open up the present. What's inside?
A puppy.
Is the puppy big or small?
Big.
Is it mean or nice?
Nice.
What does the puppy say?
Rough.
My friend Henry left the room, I switched over to my Ninja Turtle bow tie, and Ansel came in. It's nice to meet you, Ansel. Ansel survived a brain injury as a child. He is perceiving the world in a different way. So that is the camera. And people are watching us and seeing how great you are. Rather than forcing him into my mold, my expectation, I sat back, forgot about the camera, and wondered how I was going to connect with him. As adults, we're often stubborn. We want everyone to see us eye to eye, on our level, even though humans are all over the place. Through everyone I've met, I've learned if I remain flexible, I can form a bond with anyone. The secret to interpersonal connection and maximizing human potential is those who can adjust, inspire. You have to be willing to adapt to anyone's level of communication. And once you can look someone eye to eye on their level, they will want to learn and grow with you. Ansel, you taught me that sometimes just being with someone is more than enough.
Today on Agony or Ease What's That, I'm talking about stimming. Stimming is a great way to combat sensory processing. Humming, singing, la 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 la, doodling. Output blocks input. It's why many autistic people will look away from you when they're talking. They won't make eye contact. If I look at you, I won't listen to what you're saying. If I look away from you, I can pay attention. The same if I'm drawing and creating output so I can receive the input. People perceive that we're just doodling and not paying attention. We're stimming. So stims are anything which is repetitive, stimulatory, and soothing and comforting to the person. I'm doing it right now. Squeezing is one of my stims. Squishing people's ears. Squish, 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 squish. Flapping, rocking, pacing up and down, jumping up and down, jumping about, jumping about, jumping about, jumping about, saying things over and over again, echolalia, wordplay, all of these are stims. Stimming is attached to our emotional. It's not just sensory, it's emotional as well. I'm feeling anxious when anxiety is running through my body, when sadness or anger or happiness is running through my body. What better way to get rid of it or displace it or express it through moving? So I'm going to talk about displacement. Autistics displace their stims so naturally, but people have been introducing different ways for us to do it. So fidget spinners is a... Oops, sorry, I'm dyspraxic. Visual stims are great because visual stims distract, I find. This is mine, I love crystals. Visual stim. Aromatherapy can be a stim. Smelling can be a stim. Some autistics will smell and smell and smell and smell. Well, aromatherapy, ooh, it's a great stim. I've learned to stim dance. It's essentially where I just sit down, and I've started to do it standing on the spot as well. And I've incorporated all my stingy, flappy movements and I do it along to music. When autistic people aren't permitted to use these stims to cope, it can lead to very stressful behaviours. I try to hold it together. I sometimes go, and end up hitting myself in the head. So my dermatillomania, it's the repetitive action of pulling off skin. And I've done it since I was 8 years old and I'm now 32. Trichotillomania is where you excessively and repeatedly pull out hair, and I do it on my legs. I will get tweezers and I will sit there for an hour and I will repeatedly pluck and pluck and pluck and pluck and pluck. A lot of things with my hands, a lot of touching repeated with my face, grabbing and touching with my hair, twirling my hair. But instead of just saying, don't stim, it's really helpful for us to have a conversation about it as autistic people and as neurodiverse people, and to say, how do you stim? What helps you? How do you avoid the harmful stims? I stim dance. What about you? How do you stim? So yeah, thank you for watching. Suggest a topic for me to talk about next time. Okay, bye!